speaking of the Sixers, look, last night was tough. It was one of the, I was a little bit worried, I said, about sometimes when you are up for a certain game and you come up short, you sleepwalk some through the next game. Not an excuse. I'm saying these things happen. Not an excuse. It's not acceptable that it happened. But you could tell early they were kind of slogging. They did enough to stay in the game, and then they couldn't close it out. They played the same team in Miami. Also, this was the best shooting game for Miami in like a month.
Did you hate the zone, though? Do you think the zone played a role in why they were able to knock the threes as well as they did?
He went to the zone later, and they missed shots down the stretch. This is the weird part about the Sixers right now. In clutch ratings, that's 5-point game or less, 5 minutes or less in the game. The Sixers are number one in the NBA in defense, but like 24th in offense. And that's where, and that was, you saw that. The Heat missed a lot of shots. Like that shot that Jimmy Butler made on Embiid, that was like an impossible shot. Like it was almost a travel because he jumped and was this close to hitting the ground, which would have been up and down, would have been a travel. He released ground, which would have been up and down, would have been a travel. He releases it all screwy, and it goes in.
Yeah, even the shot that he took when Harden was defending him that he fouled him on, it wasn't like some great shot. It was a very contested shot. It just so happened that Harden fouled.
I don't know. I look at the beginning of their games lately. They're getting off to slow starts. I mean, somehow, some way, you got to get your team ready.
But that
right
evens
when the
out.
Tip off.
Like the first,
but you say it evens out. You go down 5-8 in the first quarter, you still got to make up those points.
My biggest issue was the offensive rebounds, but if you look at how many more shot attempts Miami had, we were there yesterday. It's a 6-point game, but it seemed like they had 5 million more shots. Yeah. That type of stuff evens out there.
At one time in the second quarter, is 18-9 rebounds.
Yeah,
for the Heat.
They got it within like 5 in the rebounding. That stuff does even out.
He had a wide open shot to win it, and just unfortunately he missed. And looking ahead, James Harden after the game, I heard him, and he's like, "Look, it was a good shot. I thought it was good off my fingertips, and we move on to the next game."
Doc drew up a good play. He knew Embiid would get doubled. Embiid did a good job on that play, waiting for the double to come, waiting for the guy to vacate, because Embiid could always turn and try to tie. But the guy vacated. That was a clean look. It did not go in, but if you get better offense, fourth quarter offense just was not good. Period. The good thing was Maxey played well, then switch out. Tobias took 4 shots. So
and George Niang's getting torched by Kevin Love.
I mean, so Niang was kind enough to come on the John Kincaid show. And he said some things about Ben Simmons, which were all true, about how he limited them. I think he's like 1 for a million since then. He made 1 shot yesterday. I don't think it's karma because he was right about Ben Simmons. I think it was just like bad timing.
It's one of those things, though, with Maxey. I figured at some point Maxey would get over that little funk and he'd be able to ball. He had an awesome third quarter.
Yeah.
Layup late.
Late, though.
A little frustrating.
Both of the M's missed the layup.
They did. But with George Niang, isn't that what a bench player is? You're going to have streaks where he hits 4 threes in a game, maybe 5 threes in a game, and then there's going to be nights where, all right, we got to yank him because he's minus 15 in 7 minutes. That's just the nature of the beast of a player like George Niang.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah, in the first quarter, Miami got 27 shots off, Sixers 15. So that was the big thing there in that game. Thanks, Booty. And that's what set all that up. But Maxey was better. Yeah, smoking those layups, though. Melton and Maxey. Let's talk to Flat in Atlantic City. You're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's up, Flat?
Hey, man, thank you guys so much. Special ever, like I said, every time. This time I had y'all on the screen, so I won't make no mistake like swearing like I did last time. I apologize for that.
Go ahead. What do you want to talk about today?
Basically, everything else talking about instead of going on, I actually want to talk about the Phillies, but I do want to touch on something that Ricky just said, which is about the fact that and this goes to whether or not we were a playoff team, a real championship contender, and getting off the slow starts. I mean, look at the psychology of the game. If you can't, step on the court, feel the presence enough where you can just bang, 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 and the team know, like this is not going to be easy right away. I mean, you ball, we're in the game right now, son. We got to play for our lives type. You're not that much of an opponent, in my opinion. Now, to get to that level, what it takes, I don't know, but I like that Ricky pointed that out.
But the Celtics game, they were up after the first quarter.
Right, and looking
they didn't
at
have a
yesterday,
slow start they had a slow start yesterday. They didn't have a slow start Saturday.
But I don't know how much stock I put into it, Flat.
I'm just saying that one example.
Yeah.
And that's a good point, too, that they did that. You know what I mean? That's true with Celtics. Maybe I didn't watch that game as closely. I probably missed it. But
they were up. They were up after the first quarter, and they were up at the half.
Well, God bless them. I'm just saying one thing I would like to see more of is them establishing themselves early. And I think if they want to be a serious contender, that's something that they should.
Unfortunately, Flat, as I just said, the evidence doesn't back up your statement because they had a good start against the Celtics, and the third quarter is what undid them.
What do you attribute them losing that to?
They lost the game because the Celtics were better that night.
Well,
That's what I attribute it to.
That dominance that they set in the first quarter against the Celtics, that they set. And they were
I
dominant.
think that those things just happen in sports.
I think it's
They
just
just
a flow.
happen.
It's a flow of an NBA game that I think is getting too much stock put into it. For example, if it's 28-22 after the first quarter, like it was yesterday against Miami, in a first quarter of an NBA game, one team's up 6. I don't think that dictates the rest of the 3 quarters.
Right. Do you think the Celtics are a championship contender?
Yeah.
Right. Last night, as a Sixer player, the Knicks beat them 27-15 in the first quarter.
Still, I mean, that's just one game. I mean,
And that's what I'm saying. You just cited one game, Flat. That's what I'm saying. Thanks for the call, Flat. We appreciate it. But I'm saying we can't just cite individual games because they had a good start against the Celtics, had a bad start last night. The Celtics had a bad start against the Sixers and a bad start last night, and they lost to the Knicks. These things happen. That it's not good that they happen, but they happen. We have to look at this in the macro sense of they need to beat good teams. And since right now they're playing nothing but good teams, they'll get another opportunity tomorrow, then against Dallas, then against the Bucks. They have to start beating good teams. I don't care how they do it. They have to have better attention to detail and beat good basketball teams because obviously that's what you have to do in the playoffs. 610-632-0975. We'll be back here on 97.5 The Fanatic, NBC Sports Philadelphia. All right, back to the phones. Jose in Philly talking about the Sixers loss. You're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's up, Jose?
Hey, how's it going?
All right, how are you?
Yeah, I went to the game, and I'm a true Sixers fan, and I just don't like the way Embiid playing at the three-point line instead of going down in the paint and doing the give and go with Harden. They do that play like in slow motion. It seems like he traveled most of the time.
You don't mean what you're saying, do you?
What happened?
You don't actually mean this, correct?
What do you mean I don't mean it?
Where do you want him to play?
You don't want
tell us
where
do you
I want him in the paint,
he's
grabbing the rebound.
He's second in the league in post-ups behind Jokic. Second in the league in post-ups behind Jokic. Joel Embiid.
Yes, I understand that, but he's not playing team ball.
What do you mean?
What I mean is when they're up by 15 and he's shooting the three-pointer.
When?
Standing at the
he shot
one
line, three-pointer last night. You said you're a diehard Sixers fan. You went to the game last night. He shot the three-point ball one time last night.
Yeah. He scores because everybody else is afraid to score.
That makes no sense.
What do you mean it don't make no sense? When they're winning the game, they're giving him the ball at the three-point line instead of letting the point guard
against the
Harden
Celtics. He scored. He took one three-point shot against the Celtics as well.
Exactly. Against any team, he's going to score because he's giving the ball.
He had 40. Hold on, Jose. Jose, let me try to help you here a little bit. He had 41, 12, and 5 to lead the team. And he had, 27 or whatever last night. Didn't have a great game. Had you just said he didn't play well last night or didn't have enough juice, I'd be with you 100%. Led the team in scoring last night. You think that's because
how many players?
Jose, let me finish the point, Jose. You're saying that's because other players are scared, or is it possibly because he's the number one option because he's their best player?
He's the number one option, but you got other scorers on the team. When
Who?
You got 5 players on the team,
name all the scores. Name all the scores.
What do you mean name all the
Name
scores?
all the good scores on the Sixers. Go right ahead.
What happened to Maxey?
Maxey scored 23 last night, so bad example. I'm saying name all the scores by name. Go right ahead. I'm giving you free time.
Harden could score.
Okay, go ahead. Embiid, Harden, Maxey, you said. Who else?
Okay. Niang could score.
Thanks for the call.
Dude, Niang's had every opportunity over the last couple of games to score, and she's just in a bit of a slump.
So, against the Celtics, Embiid played really, really well. Embiid seemed like he didn't have a lot of jump, as they say in hockey. He didn't seem like he had his legs. Didn't seem like he was great last night. Did not play that well last night. Still was their leading scorer, but didn't play as well. Played really well against the Celtics on both ends. Played excellent. So last 2 games, one great one that was okay. He made some plays, but wasn't good enough. But you can't look at this Sixers crew. Part of the reason why they lose to the Celtics is Brogdon and those extra guys. They generally so far this year have been better than the Sixers extra guys.
Right.
Embiid plays well Saturday, if they lose, it's not because of him, because he played really well. It's about what the other guys around do. And on Saturday, Maxey, a bunch of those guys had a bad game. And Tobias, the ball stuck, and he didn't really touch it in the fourth. The Sixers need someone else to emerge to be a reliable scorer like the other top teams have.
So somehow he went from Embiid takes too many threes to that's why George Niang isn't scoring? Is that what he just tried to do?
But you mentioned it in 2 games, he took 2 threes. So it can't be that either.
But his whole point was Embiid needs to get rebounds and give the ball to other people. At one point, that's what he was saying. He's got to be in the paint all the time, which means no 3-pointers and only layups for him. The guy averages 33 points a game, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
And 10.5 boards.
Right. If you just want to call and say Embiid didn't play as well, no argument at all. It's just when we have to dig deep into it's always like a psyche thing. It can't be the Sixers played poorly. It's hard, paint, it's all this other, or he didn't play well.
Which happens.
Also, Miami is a bit of a junk team. They do junk defense. I was talking to Brian Brennan, who's the Sixers producer for pre-post. Does a great job. Love Brian. We were talking earlier today, and he was talking about how Miami does a really good job junking up the game. Like, they throw different bodies from weird angles and stuff. They do stuff. When that happens, this is where Maxey did his part, and B wasn't great. But Tobias with 4 shots. If Tobias yesterday gets 10 shots, and he makes 6 of them in a close game like that, that could be the difference. The Sixers have not had enough nights against the good teams where a number of guys play well. It's not because they have a bunch of shooters who don't touch the ball. It's because they don't have enough guys who are reliable against the good teams.
But Jose was looking at it more big picture than just last night's game. He's the anti-Joel Embiid. He hates the way he thinks the way Joel plays takes away from the rest of the team. Well, I go,
isn't that Doc's fault?
What Embiid does, well, you shut your mouth over there. You shut your mouth over there.
Doc should have him down in the paint more.
What Embiid does is why sometimes you get nights out of a Tobias Harris or other players.
It's why Harden got an open look late in the game. He gets the double.
Wide open.
It takes a simple ball fake. He's wide open. Now, if Harden makes that shot, you go, wow, Embiid did a great job creating that shot. Harden misses the shot. Would have still been the same shot, by the way. That was also that play. That was drawn up by Doc.
Surprise.
It led to an all-star caliber player getting a wide open look from not deep 3, from hugging the line. A shot that everybody takes in this league anymore, and it happened to just hit the back iron. So
it looked good,
I thought he made it.
It looked great.
Yeah,
I thought
he made
all
it.
right.
Yeah.
All right, we got this. Damn.
Also, just to throw it out there, the Heat just got beat by the Hornets.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So they're coming off of, okay, we just got beat by Charlotte. Like, come on. Like, we're not going to roll into Philly. And
and you got Jimmy Butler all motivated.
right, sure, he's coming back. Yeah, there's lots and lots of reasons. And, yeah.
It all sticks. They got to win the game. They have to win the
Exactly,
game. We're not
yeah.
making, what I'm saying is just, it feels like we got to do be a federal case.
Like, we have to
82
argue it.
times.
Yeah, we got to argue
82
it.
times of a federal case just feels, y'all don't ever get tired? Sometimes I'm exhausted.
I get tired of the Doc and Embiid thing a lot.
All right, back to the phones. Richard at Plymouth Meeting. You're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's up, Richard?
I find this conversation very interesting about Jose, but I will say this. I'm not quite sure why when we take 3-pointers, nobody crashes the board. Everybody just jumps back.
To get back, the reason is, though, I could just tell you why. So it's a risk-reward situation. Long shots can lead to long rebounds. That can lead to runouts. The Sixers have been poor in transition defense as it is. If you have more guys going forward when the other team's going away, their transition defense gets worse. The thinking is the odds of getting the offensive rebound lower, getting back on defense to stop points would be wiser. That's the reason. Now, you can disagree, Richard. I'm not saying it's right, but that's the reason they do it.
Yeah, like if they got a couple boards that would satisfy you, you'll probably be disappointed with some of the easy buckets the other team's going to get.
I guess what I'm actually saying is when we deal with the rebounding, period, nobody's sure who's going to rebound the defensive side.
Oh, now that's different. Last night.
And going small ball, because Harrell and Paul Reed are, not the greatest options. You go small ball, sometimes that's going to be the issue.
Yes. Now, Nerlens Noel is working out a buyout. I would drop Desmond and sign him today if you could. And this is the deadline. If you don't sign him by today, they can't play in the playoffs. But yes, overall, there was a rebounding problem, especially yesterday. Absolutely, 100% for sure. And it has been in different games. You're 100% about right. Or 100. They gave up too many offensive rebounds. That's different. Yeah, absolutely. Poor job by them.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. I'll call again.
All right, I appreciate it. No, I was just saying, sometimes when people wonder why they don't crash the boards, it's because of the possible runouts. This team already struggles in transition defense as it is. You have those guys crashing, I don't know how many points this particular team would give up.
And I don't necessarily disagree with the mindset of getting back, especially because, when Maxi's out there, he can get torched defensively. Harden's not the greatest defender in the world. Like, if Niang's out there, he's super slow and can get beat. So a lot of these guys, their strengths is not on the defensive end of the floor. So anything you can do to try and maximize that side, look, you can convince me that maybe there's times to maybe be a little bit more aggressive on the offensive rebounding department, but I don't hate it in theory.
I agree. The defensive rebounding side, though, that was unacceptable.
Agreed.
That's a different thing. Get your own rebounds. And what you also have is you have certain players. Maxey does it some, but he's also a fast player, trying to leak out to get out. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes you don't have the ball yet. So now once they get the rebound, now they're playing 5-on-4, 5-on-3, because other guys are trying. And that leads to, so it's not just the rebound. Then the rebound leads to an easy basket. So absolutely they must tighten that up much more when they play the good teams. Offensive rebounding, no. This team, especially when you have an actual center, get back and try to stop fast breaks. 610-632-0975. Brad, Mike, Chuck, Joe. We'll talk to you in the 3 o'clock hour. Then also later in the 3 o'clock hour, scheduled from the Combine, we should hear from both Howie Roseman and Nick Sirianni with two new coordinators, quote unquote. Hopefully we hear about it today here on 97.5 The Fanatic, NBC Sports Philadelphia. We have to get back to the folds and talk to all the people. Here's the quick cliff notes of the story. My brother and I live together. We throw a party. It's going late into the evening, and I'm trying to wrap up the party and have a little dessert after the dinner party. I happen to peek my head out of the room as the party's still going on, and there's a friend of mine. People obviously are welcome to stay. We don't want anybody driving drunk or anything. This particular person was prepared to stay, so he had on pajama pants and had his T-shirt tucked into the pajama pants.
Come on, man.
And meanwhile, the party's going. I'm just doing what I'm doing. Y'all keep going. I'm working on something. And he was singing closing time with his T-shirt tucked in his pajama pants, kicking people out of my party.
He went to a party and brought pajamas. Like, come on. You're supposed to get so banged up, you sleep with your jeans on, one sock's on, your shoes are lost. Isn't that what happens normally when you stay somewhere?
That's
it happens to me.
Yeah.
And it was always people. It was we didn't mind, but we're like, stay. We don't want anybody driving drunk. Stay.
Sure.
We didn't expect. I also didn't expect him though. And there's also there were other people who were looking to have the same conclusion to the party that maybe I was having. Mm-hmm. Don't kick guys and girls out of someone else's party while singing closing time.
Yeah, the completion didn't happen yet.
Right.
No, but he was done. He was full.
Oh, he was?
The guy with the pajamas on was full.
No,
he wasn't.
He was starving, but he just decided to just opt out and didn't try to ruin everybody else's fun because he wasn't having good luck.
Right.
You're telling me the
Can't do
pajamas
that.
didn't bring the women over?
No. Wait, maybe not the pajama pants, but the T-shirt tucked into it? That's it.
And
That's
he's out
the
there
deal
singing
breaker.
closing time. I'm going, what is happening?
No.
And he go, your friend's kicking everybody. I go, what are you
my
doing?
house.
What are you doing? It's not. I said, where's my brother at?
Here's my last question.
Huh?
Who is this guy?
He's like, nah, he was a friend.
Oh, so good dude.
At the time, yeah. I mean, we're not as close now, but he was a friend. He wasn't like a stranger, but he was not authorized to throw people out of my party. I can tell you that.
I would have been pretty ticked off.
Yeah, I was, because there was other people, and there were people there who were at that party ended up getting married and stuff. So there was some of debauchery, but there were also like real connections being made.
Wow, the love connection over at the Tyrone parties.
I
The
tell
Johnson
ya.
parties finds love.
There
That's
was
right.
love a lot of around. There's usually love around me. Love all around me, believe it or not.
With his Stoneheart over there.
There's a lot of love
Surrounded
around.
in love.
Surrounded in love.
I
Doused
like
in
it.
love.
Doused.
Yes, lousy with love.
Lousy.
And he's kicking people out of my party. I was
Oh.
like, singing closing time. So I could never listen to that song.
That's a bunch of garbage.
Yeah.
I mean, you should have kicked him out on the front porch.
He's drunk.
So put him
He's
on the
gotta
front porch.
stay.
And everybody's got to stay. In fact, I was like, stay. Like, it was like, plus we had like stadiums. We had a sectional. We had a whole other couch. We had a lot of place for people to stay.
This was a party house.
Yeah.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, it wasn't well decorated, but it was very efficient for staying. Like, there was enough room for 6, 7, like, comfortable before that floor.
Oh, wow.
There was like 6, 7 people could stay before, and that didn't include, like, here's a blanket and a pillow. Like, this is just above ground sleeping.
There's nothing worse than being passed out on the floor and you're using like a hoodie as the blanket because no one gave you anything, and you're sitting there using socks as a pillow.
My grandma, we had secondhand blankets, but they were clean. My grandma provided them.
Socks as a pillow. That's where we're going. Anyway.
My wife says gross story. It's not a gross story. It's not a gross story.
No,
before I ever met her, this is 3 years before I even met her.
Were they your own socks?
I mean, I never actually. I was just kind of speaking as.
I'm just thinking. Some people have like fungus. And
I
stuff
mean,
like
I didn't actually. I'll be using it as an example of you grab anything.
Now it's a gross story.
Oh, it is a gross
Now
story.
we go
Yes,
back
I will make anything that sounds clean gross.
All right, now let's go back to the phones. Brad in Philly talking about the Sixers last night. You're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey, man. I just want to speak on the comment that Lewis made talking about Joel Embiid need to stop scoring threes. In my opinion, and people that watch basketball, I feel as though that Embiid should be more aggressive when handling the basketball on top of the key and taking advantages. Like last night, I feel as though Bam Adebayo could not guard Embiid on top of the key, even though he's a good perimeter defender. But when you talk about advantages, talking about weight and size, I feel as though Embiid should take more opportunity of taking Bam to the rim, because I feel as though that's easy work for Embiid. But I
think Embiid had a tough day yesterday, but overall, the full body of work, leading the league in scoring last year and now having 33 points per game, for me to nitpick what he's doing, it's just hard for me personally to do that because he's clearly doing something right. Last night, not so much.
Yeah, I got you on that.
Also, though, Brad, when you play Miami, though, he's not one-on-one with Bam. There's doubles coming from exotic angles and stuff, and their timing. It's hard to pace their timing. So sometimes the double comes immediately. Sometimes it's delayed. Sometimes they're hedging. Miami is smart with that junk kind of defense, so I think that caused hesitation, which then helped Bam's defense there.
Yeah, like even though he played good help defense and all as well too, but like for us as well, our big problem is like our guys got to be consistent on catching, shooting in the mid-range and the three-point shot as well too. And I feel as though like we should get our bench better. Our bench is not really veteran experience when we come to playoff-wise as well. And I feel as though, like, getting a guy like Will Barton and, like you said earlier, Norris Noel, them type of guys should really help us in the long run.
It could, but you got to do that today. That's the thing. Thanks for the call. Now, listen, I released Dedmon for Noel, and I would have – and then if you ever play the Celtics and they want to go double big, I can trust Noel to chase, and I can keep Embiid close to the rim because Noel's mobile and long. So Al Horford now has a tall guy on him. I'm talking about this could be 4 to 6 minutes. I'm not talking about Nerlens Noel's a 30-minute player. I'm saying he could be Embiid's backup. But if you play the Celtics in the playoffs and they go with Williams and Horford, you don't want Embiid that far away from the basket if you can help it. Nerlens can chase in that scenario. Any of the bigs you have now, you don't trust any of them to chase Horford or another big. Or if you play Lopez, you don't trust any of your other bigs to go that far out. Nerlens Noel, you would trust to chase Brook Lopez.
And those 4 minutes are huge. We've seen whenever Joel Embiid, well, if you want to play them together, of course.
But I'm saying, that's what I'm saying. The together thing was teams that would play a specific kind of way, like the Celtics to go double big, but they're going to have their bigs on the perimeter. It forces you to move Embiid away from the basket. Noel, you would trust significantly more than Dedmon, Paul Reed, or Montrezl Harrell.
Definitely. I was just thinking more along the lines of if Embiid is off the floor for a handful of minutes, we can't devalue those minutes because if you see as soon as he leaves the floor, you have a 7-point lead that evaporates and now you're down 2 and it was 4 minutes. It's like we got to do something about that.
You're absolutely right.
But remember Toronto back with the Brett Brown series, they went double big. It was Serge Ibaka and Marc Gasol.
Right.
And there were no answers to the double big. Now this is obviously different because the whole roster is different, but we've seen that hurt this team in the past.
Right. And if a team wants to try it, and the Celtics start with that and then they quickly get out of it because they knew they weren't going to have success with it against the Sixers. That's part of it. But Horford also in the second half made 5 threes because they're reluctant to have Embiid out there. If you had Nerlens Noel on that floor for 4 minutes in that Celtics game and he closes out on 2 of those threes and he misses them, you win the game. That's the kind of stuff, the small stuff that you can do if you were able to add him. But you literally would have to do that today or they're not eligible to play in the playoffs.
I think it's probably going to be Dedmon that stays.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, I think that's probably what it is.
But then use them.
Noel's going to go somewhere.
Yeah, he's not going to be out of the league.
Yeah,
No.
he's got to go somewhere.
So that's where I'm like, if you can do it, he just makes a lot of sense here.
The only two teams I've seen right now are Dallas and the Sixers, people talking about.
Yeah, so get it done. But it has to get done, like, today, literally. And I don't mean figuratively today. I mean literally. Back to the phones. Chuck in Abington. You're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's up, Chuck?
Chuck.
What's going on, guys?
How are you, Chuck?
How you feeling?
I'm good. So I'm just thinking, even if we make it deep in the playoffs, I don't trust Doc.
Why?
Coaching this. I don't trust this. Even with this game. Why can't he call something? Timeout. Let's get a good set.
Didn't he do that for the final?
Hold on.
That final shot, you can't draw up anything better than that.
I agree with that. But
So you give him credit for that last shot where Harden got a very clean look.
that was a clean look. But
Okay.
in the past, I just don't trust Doc.
I'm not telling you have to be the biggest Doc supporter. His track record of the leads in the playoffs, it's there. But, I think he deserves more credit to this point with this team than he gets for whatever it's worth.
No, we can't. We haven't got over the hump.
Well, hold on. But you're not going to get over the hump until the playoffs come. Last night, you admitted that at the end of the game, you got the exact look that you would want, and the coach drew up that look. So why are you worried about that now, and why don't you wait and see if they get over the hump? If he won the game last night, would they be over the hump?
No.
So if they lose the game last night, are they over the hump?
We have an advance out this second round.
So what Hunter was just basically saying is we agree we all have some concerns about Doc Rivers. But if the concern is over the hump, don't they have to get to the hump before we worry about that? Yeah.
What is the hump?
Well, it's the second round.
Yeah, so,
Yes.
so why what I'm saying is if the win last night wouldn't change your mind, why does a loss last night matter?
It's just the past, Ty. Past his track record.
But he's also coached in Philadelphia. He's coached 4-on-5 offensively in the postseason.
Until now.
Now.
So if they win the championship this year, is it because of Doc?
The Doc and players. Doc
So why do, right. So why do they lose then?
Should be Doc and the player.
Doc and the players then, right?
Yeah. You have to give
All right. Well, thanks for the call, Chuck. That was the point. Let's go back to the phones, Mike. You're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's up, Mike?
Hey, what's up, guys?
How you doing?
First time, long time. Love the show.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Hey, I don't want to be doom and gloom, but if the Sixers end up with the 2 or the 3 seed,
that's what they're going to be.
Yeah, I just don't see any possible way that they can make the finals. And I say that mainly, and I don't want to put all the blame on Daryl Morey, but if you look at the trade deadline, they made one minor move, and I guess nobody can confirm this, but, Pat Bev, Kevin Love, both of them would have been great options for the Sixers. I mean,
they
obviously
called
they need
both.
They did?
Yep.
Okay. Well,
How many minutes would Pat Bev have got here compared to where he went?
Well, Pat Bev would have been a great.
Yeah, but Lonzo Ball's injured in Chicago, and that opens up a whole other guard spot.
You're only looking at how many minutes would Pat Bev get here compared to where he went.
And he's from Chicago, correct?
That's what I'm saying. And he's going to play a ton of minutes there. He would not have played a ton of minutes here. Kevin Love started last night. He would not start on this team.
Mike, I don't know if there would have been a move for how people feel about the Sixers.
Yeah.
Adding Pat Bev, I'm just saying hypothetically, would that be enough for the people who are down to think that they can go win a championship now?
No, and Westbrook didn't want to leave L.A. He literally just stayed in his house and just goes to the same arena just in a different locker room. He just went from L.A. Lakers to L.A. Clippers.
Yeah, I guess I'm just, listening to Cuz midday, he kind of broke down the benches for the Celtics, the Bucks, and the Sixers. And outside of Tyrese Maxey, who plays starters, outside of Maxey, who plays starters minutes, is there anybody on the Sixers bench that would see the floor at all?
I would say no.
Teams?
No. They wouldn't. Thanks for the call. But you weren't going to solve that in the buyout market. And, again,
we got a good picture of it in the Celtics game. Of what the benches are about.
But Doc in the regular season, he is more into, and I think in that game he went Harden with Maxey and the rest of the bench crew. This is where Doc, I think, in the postseason, where guys are going to play significantly more minutes.
He's going to ride his horses.
He's got to be sharper.
Got to be sharper.
He's got to be better and do it the right way. 610-632-0975. Tom and Arthur, we're going to break slightly early just in case Howie Roseman or Nick Sirianni are on time. If we'll get to you right after that or right before them here on 97.5 The Fanatic, NBC Sports Philadelphia.